Alright, hello and welcome to the first episode of BSRA, or Beat Saber Replay Analysis. My name is Snowy. I'm currently ranked 13 on the global Score Saber leaderboards. This series is supposed to be a bit of a dive into a specific Beat Saber replay. I'll be talking about the player, commentating over the replay, as well as going over certain parts of the map so that you guys have a detailed understanding of how players are able to get like really high accuracy plays, like upper 95, 96 on these types of maps. In terms of how the maps are made from a mapping standpoint, I don't have a huge amount of experience like lots of other popular community mappers. So maybe in the future it might be a good idea to get some of them on the show. But for now, I'm just going to try to keep the specific mapping terminology and music theory stuff to a minimum. Anyway, let's just get right into it. Alright, so the first episode of this series is just going to be a play that I did myself. We're going to be going over my 96.3% run of Freedom Dive, mapped by Raffle, which is currently the #1 play on that map. I chose myself because I don't have to get permission from anyone else in case this doesn't turn out the way I want it. Anyway, let's start with a little bit of history of the player, which I guess in this case is me. So just taking a look at my Score Saber profile real fast, most of my plays are around the 20 to 30 range, I would say, with some top 10s sprinkled about. There's a number 4, 7, there's like a 5, 7, 5, stuff like that. That being said, I like to think that I can fairly consistently get like 97, 96 on slow maps, so 97.31 on the new Baby Metal map, 97.6, 97.5, stuff like that. But I would say that my weakness is definitely high NJS or high speed maps like Villain Virus and stuff tend to be very difficult for me. That being said, I play a lot of stream maps and I try to act really well on them, so maps like Blue Zenith by Fern and Oddloop, or Ascension to Heaven by Mitchell, or Freedom Dive by Raffle, which is the replay we're going to go over today. I try to act really well on them. So anyway, enough about the player. Let's just jump right into the replay. Alright, so right off the bat, I want to explain my hit score visualizer settings. If you don't know what hit score visualizer is, it's a mod which allows you to change the color of your score so that instead of the default color of the base game, which would be like 112 and it would be white, I am able to change the color to purple so that if I hit a score that's above like 110 or something, I can just look at the color and know that it was a good hit or not. And I can know if I need to adjust my swing slightly in the coming swings, because if I get anything above 100, which is green, and I want anything above 110, then I can maybe adjust my sabers slightly to get a higher score. So those are my hit score visualizer settings. Anyway, let's continue. Alright, so for this intro section, it's basically just a bunch of side notes followed by small burst streams, like that one right there. Yeah, there's nothing too tough about this section. It's kind of free accuracy, but the thing that some people have trouble with are just the side notes and getting high accuracy, like above 110 on them. So for side notes, just know that you can hit them with your palm facing away from the note or with your palm facing toward the note. So I think I do just both in this section. I use both of these tactics, I guess, but personally I prefer to keep my palm away from the note because it's just easier for me. If you guys have trouble with this, try to really watch where your saber's actually going whenever you swing through the block. And I will link some slow accuracy maps in the description below so that you guys can practice side notes specifically. Anyway, let's continue. And this is just a small accuracy section, nothing too tough about it. More slow notes and burst streams. If you train accuracy, you should be okay with that. Okay, so this section is really interesting because the notes are actually, diagonal and then diagonal afterward in the opposite direction. So the thing about the scoring system, I'm not going to 100% explain the scoring system, but basically where you get the accuracy hit is based on the geometric center of the note. So right where the little dots are. That's really bad. But anyway, so you don't actually have to swing at these fully diagonally like this. you can swing at them like up and down, sort of like this, and you'll still hit the center of the note. So if you're having trouble like trying to rotate your whole body and swing the diagonals or whatever, then you could just swing up and down on these. And the hitboxes are so large on these notes that the odds of you like getting a miss or a bad cut are kind of low. So just keep that in mind for this section. Alright, so this is the real meat of the song. It's basically just a bunch of linear streams, like jumping from the middle to the right, to the left, to the middle. This is where people really start to lose accuracy because they're not able to get the 100-degree downswing and then 60-degree upswing. Just assuming that you're actually able to swing that large, which takes a little bit of practice. You also have the 15 points of accuracy, which come afterward. And for people who struggle with accuracy specifically on streams, my advice is to keep your arms as steady as possible, because if your arms are steady, then your wrists are the only thing that is freely moving. If your arms are moving and your wrists are moving, then there's more uncertainty as to where your hits are going to land. But if only your wrists are moving, then it's easier to keep them moving in a predetermined fashion, like one after another, just every note coming after another. So that's a small tip for just streams in general. Alright, so keep in mind that you're swapping from streams to double downs here, because these are double downs, right? So if you're swapping from streams to double downs, it can trick some people and trip them up, but just be aware of that. So like if you try to stream all the way through it, then you're just going to miss all these notes. But just be aware of that so that you don't actually, you know, miss all the notes, because that would be pretty rough. More streams. And here is the weird section. So this gets a little bit difficult right here because we're going from ups, really fast ups in a stream, straight to the sides on the right. I think if you're just aware of this and you swing really quickly, then you're going to be able to hit these. But if you have trouble missing like one of these notes, getting a bad cut, then I would try to separate your sabers as much as possible, because the odds are you're not going to miss these notes. You're going to get, like these notes, you're going to get a bad cut. So if you separate your sabers, like so that your blue saber's up here and your red saber's like down here, sort of like that, then it's going to reduce the chance that you get a bad cut because you won't be intersecting in the wrong block. Alright, so these doubles are alternating top to bottom. So the blue is on top and then the blue is on the bottom. This is what feels natural for most people, so I think it's seen as generally like okay mapping practice. Whenever you're doing these side notes, you want them to alternate colors on the sides. And we get into this one-handed section. Some of these angles are kind of weird, so keep that in mind. That's why you see me hitting so many greens. But you should be able to gain accuracy in this section over like the stream section where most people will lose accuracy. And we get back to swapping. There's some of the diagonal streams that'll be in the song. Right, left, right, left. It's pretty straightforward. More diagonal streams. I'll talk about those later. Alright, and here's when we get into the one-handed section. Alright, so this one-handed section seems like easy accuracy. But in reality, these notes are actually pretty close together in quick succession. So this leads a lot of people to kind of fence these. I think the best strategy here is to just focus on getting maximum swing angles. The notes are like only on the bottom row, and they're also in consecutive lanes. So it's not that hard to hit the center. But what will trip a lot of people up is just the speed at which you actually have to swing. Just keep in mind that it's one-handed, and you might have to swing at those a bit faster. And for this section, it's just slow streams. I would use these sections to like practice your accuracy for the faster ones. Alright, so these stacks are just a free accuracy boost. They are a little weird sometimes because the angle is actually like down and out, which isn't very common. And just know that because they're stacks, like, you know, one note over another note, that you actually have to hit the geometric center of both notes, or you want to at least. So that's just a reason to kind of swing slow here. You don't actually have to swing any faster to hit both notes, but you will have to make your swings a little bit larger because there are two notes, but just swing slow so that you can get the center of both notes. And now we go back to the main part where we're jumping back and forth to double downs, double downs. One stream after another. This is fairly self-explanatory. Once again, I'm going to explain the diagonal streams a little bit later. Almost to the next section. Alright, so now we have single-handed stacks. These are just like the other stacks, except you're only using one hand. Make sure to swing slow and get your saber all the way through. And then there's a duck. Alright, so now we have the one-handed section. Alright, so the interesting thing to note here is that these are all double downs, which means you're going to have to swing a little bit faster to get the full 100-degree down and 60-degree up angle. But after this is where we have the really big breakdown, where we have streams into side notes, into little small streams, and we're getting into the part that's really difficult for people. There it is. Alright, so this is where the streams turn into linear moving streams, so they move back and forth. This really isn't as confusing as it seems. Basically, it's just a linear stream, like you've always been doing, but it's moving left and right. So if you're really having trouble with this, I would recommend just picking a color, like pick blue or something, and then just watch the blue color while this is all going on. So you see there's like a blue down, a blue up, right? And just let your other hand follow through. So you don't even really have to look at the whole thing. Just look at one color and keep that one arm in the right spot, and your other arm will just follow through to the other side. Alright, and here we get to the worst section for all the wrong reasons. Alright, so this is probably the place in the song where most people miss because of how many double ups and double downs there are, and just how weird it feels. Basically, this note right here and this note right here, they're both ups. And the only strategy that you could prepare for this section is just to know that this is coming and then swing really slowly into this block so that you also hit the next block in one continuous motion. I think that's what I do here, but it's just really difficult. And also, there's a down right here, which is a vision block, into another down right here. So that can be pretty confusing as well. You basically just have to know that these are coming because there's no other way. And this is the reason why this section of the song is probably the hardest for people in terms of just missing notes. Alright, so now it's just streams and a little bit of side notes. So this section is actually weird because of the fact that there's a up right after a down on one-handeds. It can be kind of difficult to get the maximum swing angle on the second note. So I would just recommend swinging as hard as you can on both of these notes. Just go all the way down and all the way up, because what's most important is the maximum swing angle that you want to get on both of these notes. So now I'm probably going to start talking about the diagonal streams. Alright, so remember in the beginning of the video whenever I said that with those diagonal notes you could actually just swing straight down? It's the same for any diagonal note, really. So if the notes are like this, technically you could take one hand and swing down like that, and then take the other hand and swing down like that. So that is what I'm trying to do in this replay. I think I don't do it perfectly, but I find that swinging to the side is much harder because my arms they curve naturally like this whenever I'm swinging. So I'd rather swing straight up and down than to the side, like diagonally, because I feel like that just gives me worse AC in general. So for these diagonal streams, it's really up to you. Personally, I like to go straight up and down, or at least try to, but some people try to swing just on the diagonal and hit that. It depends on how you swing, really. But personally, I like to go straight up and down, or at least try to go straight up and down. and it's just more of the same. The switching is a little bit faster on this last section, but this is really where the stamina kicks in. This part of the map is probably the most stamina inducing, I guess. Lots of people have trouble keeping their arms steady because they've been doing linear streams this whole time and now they're jumping back and forth, especially with all the double downs and the moving streams. This can be really tough to keep your accuracy on. Alright, and now we get into the stacks. So this is just the outro of the song. Just keep in mind that there are double downs here, right? Double down. So you're going to have to pick up your sabers and swing pretty quick. But other than that, it's pretty straightforward. And don't forget to duck. Also, there are 2 notes right at the end here. So, and they swap, they're on other sides. So make sure that you don't accidentally, you know, if you're like a streamer or something, like look at chat and then miss these 2 notes, that would be pretty rough. Because those are free notes, so. Alright, so that's just about it. Once again, my name is Snowy. If you enjoyed or want to give any feedback, you can leave it in the comments below or shoot me a DM on Discord at SSnowy1549. I also might incorporate the ability to send in replays if you want them analyzed, so that might come soon. Or I might, you know, bring on some other notable figures in the Beat Saber community. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.